This is the Big Deal Podcast, brought to you and powered by New Covenant Baptist Church in Albertville, Alabama. And on this podcast, we're asking the question, what's the big deal about all things Bible, theology, and culture? I'm Justin.
I'm Brad.
Welcome to the Big Deal. How you doing, man?
Good. Every time you say that, I feel like there should be some elevator music.
There
after
is. On the
listen.
recording, there's actually some intro bumper music going on right now as we speak.
I love it.
Yeah, we don't have it live, though. I don't play it live.
No.
This happens through the magic of computers, people. Isn't that wonderful?
What's a computer?
Yeah, they really are magical devices, man.
Yeah.
They're incredible. So,
and when I was little, we didn't have them.
Yeah, you are so old.
Old.
What you been up to, man?
Today or just in general?
What have you been doing?
I can't talk about it, but I had an elders meeting today. That was
the
good.
elder meeting was great. Yeah, we had a
elders
good
meeting was
time.
good
We went
today.
to Firehouse Subs.
Yep, I had a spicy Cajun chicken sandwich from Firehouse. That's my go-to.
Yeah, that's good eating. I had that. I had the hero with hero sauce. You need to try the hero sauce.
You're a double hero.
It is really good.
I
kinda
tried the hook and
spicy
ladder with
mayo.
the spicy thing. What was that called?
The pickle, the spicy pickle. That was.
Don't do it.
No, we did it together. Remember?
Oh, that's
we were
true,
eating-
yeah.
We ate it the same day, and we both paid for
It
it.
gets you going and coming.
At about
or coming
10
and going,
hours later, we
going
were hurting.
in pain. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was bad. It wasn't so bad eating it.
Eating wasn't. It wasn't that spicy.
But it turned
It's
to glass in
it's-
my stomach.
Yeah, that's right. It's like the Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwiches. We've talked
does
about
that,
this.
yeah.
It's weird, man. It's not a spicy sandwich. I mean, it's spicy, but it's not like too spicy.
No, I can handle
but
some spicy.
it is like dragon fire
In my guts.
and on the way out.
Yes. I know.
It's weird. Yeah, we talked about deacons during
We
the elder
did.
meeting. That was great.
We did.
We have so many wonderful people that serve in our church
We do.
and do stuff.
And some
It's
of
awesome.
them listen to this podcast,
So,
man.
hey, if you're listening to this podcast and you serve in our church, you're awesome, and we
Yeah.
love you. We're so grateful,
So grateful.
and we might call you a deacon one day.
Yeah.
So that was a good meeting.
If we're lucky.
If we should be so lucky,
Yeah.
that's right, man. I got a question for you.
Oh, I can't wait.
All right, here's my question. If you could live in any century other than our own now, which one would it be and why?
Can I go to the next one?
I don't care.
I'm going to the future, baby.
I like that. I meant in the past. I meant in the past.
Yeah. You know, there's a romantic nostalgia to the past. Sometimes people, excuse me, think they want to live in.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Pre-antibiotics,
But you got to choose. You got to
plumbing.
make the choice, okay? Because that's the question. They all suck.
I don't want nothing to do with the 1900s.
Yeah.
Too much war.
There's a lot of war.
Worst wars ever.
Oh my gosh! If you're like your chances of dying in war in the 1900s are the highest they've ever been in the entire
history of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's don't do the 1900s. It was bad.
All right. 1800s.
Yeah,
You're gonna
18
go
was pretty good.
ancienter.
I think Rome would be a cool place to be.
Yeah. Well, it depends on who you are because
yeah, it does.
the majority of people were slaves.
That's true. Yeah. It's just go back to caveman times, I guess. I don't think you get eaten by a bear. It's just, we're living in a golden age,
It's
dude.
as good as it
I do
gets,
not-
but you got to make a choice right now. Like this is what's happening to you.
1500s.
All right. The 1500s.
1500s.
All right.
I'm just saying the
Where?
Renaissance. Gosh. There's no good place, man. Spain,
Spain. Nice.
because it's nice. It's a beautiful country. They were kind of the powerhouse then, and I think maybe Spain.
I like it. I think I'm going. 1700s.
What? Where?
America.
Man, it was rough here then.
I know it. I know it was. Of course it was. It's rough everywhere though.
Yeah,
It's like at least,
But it was
would be
way-
interesting to me.
it was way rough.
Actually, it's either that. I have two options. It's either that because it's interesting to me. At least I'd be interested. It's rough.
I think you'd be horribly disappointed with it. I think you would get there and be like, "Oh no, I've chosen poorly."
No, well, I mean, it doesn't matter where I am. It's like, I'm on the farm. Well, at least I'm not in the wars or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
If I'm in closer to Boston or something, well, at least it's interesting a little bit,
Yeah.
to see what it would have been like. My other option is the first century.
Oh yeah,
It's hard though, man.
do we speak the language automatically?
Yeah, I would say we're
okay.
speaking language automatically. You're an integrated citizen.
Yeah, because like 1700s, I would be looking around going, "Do you think we can head this transatlantic slave trade off at the pass?" I'd get in so much trouble.
Yeah, I'd get in
Golly,
so much trouble.
They didn't have that in the early 1500s. It was not there.
Mm-hmm.
They still didn't think about enslaving people yet.
Yeah. In the 1700s, they were working on it. In
1500s they started.
Yeah,
they were like,
but in England and stuff, they were
they outlawed it
dealing with the baggage. Yeah.
Well, though that was the high tide. That's when they were enslaving India. 1700s they were.
Oh, I thought that's when. Oh, yeah, it was early 1800s is where they did it. Yeah.
They got rid of it about 50 years before we shot and killed everybody to do it.
Yeah. They beat us to it.
William Wilberforce.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the first century would be interesting too. It's just like my problem with the first century is that out of all the centuries, I probably know the most about it because I'm like Bible-y, scholarly and stuff, and it is horrible. It's horrible,
brutal, brother.
It's such an awful place.
I said that first. You're like, but that's like 2/3 slaves, and then you're like, okay, I'm picking that time too.
But because it's just I wouldn't just choose Rome.
Yeah,
because Rome
was the world, though.
Many centuries though, but there's it spans like 10 centuries.
Yeah, where are you going?
Yeah,
in the first century?
where do you think I'm going?
You're crazy if you go to Palestine.
You're
a nut.
It's Jesus. It's Jesus,
all
man.
there was stabbing and killing.
It's Jesus, though.
It's true.
I mean, where else would I go? He has the words of life.
That's true.
That's in the Bible.
I tell you, if you went to BC though, it'd be really weird. If you knew what you know now,
oh my gosh,
you'd be like if you went, let's go to Egypt, because they had it going on.
Yeah,
and you're like, man,
I'm a slave there too.
Or it's like 3,000 years before the Messiah. What do I do?
Yeah, here's some.
Can you tell people stuff?
That would be interesting too. Is to go back way far. To go back like 20,000 years ago.
Oh yeah,
what's there?
Yeah,
I look. One of two things going to happen. One, you're going to be really surprised about these people are pretty cool, man. They got some stuff going on.
Or you'll be in heaven, and God's like, I'm not making nothing for 14,000 years. You're an idiot.
That's so funny. I didn't even go that direction.
Yeah.
No, I went. I was thinking the other way. Or I would go there and I would die very quickly.
Yes.
Like it's one of the two.
That's the problem. Yeah. See, you could pull a hangnail in like 20,000 BC, and it's like I'm going septic and I'm going to die.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. There's some issues about that though. About there's were there more infectious situations in the ancient past than
because
right now? Because we've caused a ton of them
by domesticating livestock.
Exactly.
So they didn't have much disease at all in North America because they never domesticated any animals.
Yeah.
Most of our diseases jumped from animals to us, just like COVID, probably.
Yeah.
Well, that was probably manufactured. I mean,
that's a COVID.
But like smallpox jumped from cows, probably was cowpox and mutated. Yeah. Bird flu jumped from birds to us. Lots of. So if you go to a place where they've never domesticated animals, the odds of them getting sick.
If you go in your body right now, you would probably kill everybody.
Yeah.
Because those viruses are still in you.
Yes.
Yeah. My father-in-law the other day got shingles.
Oh.
This is one of the most wild things in the world. You know how this works?
Yes.
So,
I mean, tell me anyway.
The chicken pox, I'll tell them.
Stays in there one day. It's like,
stays
I'm going to get
in
you
your
again.
Spinal fluid. Mm-hmm. And a stress, something causes it to decide to start mutating or start reproducing again. And it's been sitting there living in your spinal fluid, in this spot in your spine, just this one spot, this lower spot in your back, your spinal fluid. It's just been hanging out there for years, decades. And whatever stressor that's happened to you, it's just now I'm going to get going. And that's why it's only on your backside. It's like only right there because it's coming across that part of your nervous system right there. That is bizarre. It's just been sitting there living in you. You got all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, you are an ecosystem.
So if you went into the ancient past, you'd kill everybody.
Yeah.
You'd be like the worst biological weapon
Nobody
ever
would
made.
know either.
Nope. They would just start dying.
Yeah. And you'd be like, what's wrong with everybody?
Yeah. They're all sick. They all got sick because of you. Yeah.
Oops.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. So, that happened when people came to North America.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Maybe the worst genocide ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yikes.
It's up there. Yeah. What's hard about it is it's very undocumented. You don't really know. They didn't. It's not like they had censuses before, and they're like, you know, like how many people ended up dying.
Well, we know during like the bubonic plague in Europe, like a third of everybody died.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That is so bizarre. A third. Golly.
And I don't know if you've seen pictures of how people die from the Black Death, but it is horrific.
Yeah, you know that's like a bacteria or something.
Yeah, it's a bacterial infection.
Yeah,
perhaps spread by mice.
That's what they say.
Fleas.
Yeah.
It was dirty. See, that's why I don't want to go there.
Yeah,
it's like, hey man, never have a warm shower.
You could also be a wizard there. You're
a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, you could be a wizard.
I could be.
Well,
they'd burn me at the stake probably.
Yeah, like you could show them things, and you'd be like a wizard to them.
I'd be like, what are you talking about? The Earth is not the center of the universe. We rotate around the sun.
Yeah.
Yes, to the witch.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing?
Like you could invent mathematics at certain
and I'm bad at math.
I know you could be literally bad at math, and you could invent mathematics like the whole
simple algebra.
Yeah, simple algebra. The like volume and mass.
No,
like
dude.
you all know how to do that.
It's even easier.
Yeah.
If you go back to Rome and show them Arabic numerals and how to multiply with them, because they're still using MXVVIIX, and you're like, look, just make this 2, and you can make a 5, and this 10. And they're like, you only need 10 digits, and you can do anything. And they're like, what? This is the most smartest man we've ever seen. I mean, they celebrated a guy who got in a bathtub and realized the water went up.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh my gosh, we can displace water.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, eureka! Oh wow, we can change the water levels. And it's like,
you could I think it's possible to I don't have a ton of knowledge, like in-depth knowledge. I just know how some things work. You could make a glider and change the world.
A hot air balloon is even easier.
Yes, a hot air balloon, you could do that. Like it's within the cards. It'd take you years to make it the whole thing start working. But yeah, you'd become a wizard.
Yeah, and also you know where the gold is and junk.
Yeah,
like they don't know about the gold rush yet. So,
that's true.
How can I get over there and back to England?
Yeah, how can I get over to California?
Yeah,
that's where we're going
without dying.
Yeah. Oh, that's the hard part.
Yeah, it is because like the smallest cut. Also, starving to death is on the table.
Now you know what the real it is. It's just pooping to death is what's on the table.
Absolutely, dysentery kills you.
That's like
it's the leading cause of death in the history of the world. Yeah. Is just straight diarrhea.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that, like when it was like Oregon Trail and people died of dysentery, diarrhea, they just dehydrated to death.
Yeah, that's what it. And it's like we talk about just Oregon Trail. It's not just Oregon Trail. It's the entire world always.
And a lot of times they didn't know why you died too, and they would just put consumption.
Yeah.
It's like wait, he could have had cancer. They wasn't looking inside. It was like we don't know. He just kind of got sick and died.
Yeah.
By consumption.
Oh, that's kind of a funny thing.
You know what the biggest leader of death was in the history of the world forever and ever and ever?
What?
Forever and ever. Tuberculosis.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it killed gajillions of people.
How about that?
The only time in history it was not the highest death rate, bubonic plague.
Wow.
For a few years.
And right now.
And then tuberculosis.
Right now it's obesity.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I think it's falling off ladders.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like the 5th highest leading cause of death. I think.
I want to see the list. Okay.
What is going to kill you? We're going to talk about the Bible, but we're having a good time.
This is
right
fun.
Now.
All right. I'm asking ChatGPT.
Leading top.
Give me the leading causes of death in the world.
In the world.
All right. As of the most recent global data from 2023, here are the leading causes of death in the world. Heart disease. Number one. Yep. Stroke is number 2. This is so wild. Like, what's wild about this is how untrue this would be in the ancient world, because these are old people diseases, right? People actually become old people now. They didn't used to do that. Yeah. So you have heart disease, stroke, pulmonary disease, respiratory infections. You get that in on like number 4. That's wild. Neonatal conditions, birth complications is number 6.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Well, that's not going to happen to you.
No, yeah. If you've made it past, you're okay.
That
Alzheimer's and dementias are up there. Diabetes, kidney disease, diarrheal disease is still on the list.
You know what's
Yeah.
in the
TB is still on the list. It's right under that.
I just looked at that. It is estimated that tuberculosis has killed 1 billion people in the last 200 years.
It's number 11.
It's number 11.
Yeah.
It's dropping.
Road injuries is number 12.
Where's the ladder?
I don't see ladder. Keep going.
Okay.
I'm going to say keep going.
In the leading causes of death.
ChatGPT knows me so well that it is suggesting here's a faith-based reflection or on this. It's it's not giving me anymore. I think that's all it has. Well, how about that, man?
Unintentional falls. You ready? Unintentional falls, according to the World Health Organization, killed 684,000 people last year. Died from falling.
That's sad.
That's so sad.
I wonder though, like I wonder how, it's
150 people die every year falling off a ladder.
When old people die, like very old people, there's so many multiple, what do they call them, comorbidities.
Yes.
What they, like, you could have like an 85-year-old fall.
Yeah.
And because they fell, they broke a bone or they hit their head, they end up in the hospital, they get pneumonia while they're there because their like body is like kind of shutting down.
Yeah.
They get pneumonia, they get C. diff.
Yes.
And so it's like they have all these things, but the fall is part of it. You
know what they write down?
What do they put right down?
COVID. Is it too soon?
Well, that totally happened. Because for a lot of them, that might be true. It's like, because so many of them, it's like, they have the flu or something. A lot of the flu stats are still like that too.
I know.
Because it's part of it. You know, it's part of the equation. I mean, when you're old, you know what he died from, that old person? Being old.
Yeah. Hey, look, odds are, me and you, are, one of us is dying from a heart attack, heart related issue.
Oh my God. It's going to be me. It's going to be me.
No, I'm going before you.
Yeah.
Probably.
We
don't know
like
that.
3 podcasts ago, you thought I was having a heart attack on the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. You also thought that.
I did not think of that. That was you. That was my right arm. I was okay.
Yeah,
left arm is bad.
It's going to be something when when you hit about 50, you start thinking about this a little more seriously.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be the heart attack, is me, or it's going to be some kind of cancer. Oh no.
Yeah. They talk about cancer rates rising and stuff, but
because people getting older.
Yeah, it's actually probably not that cancer is more prevalent.
It's more diagnosed.
It's higher. It's like we know more about cancer.
Well, the other thing is, when mortality was, like a fun exercise for you to do in your car right now is think, if I didn't live in this golden age, would I already be dead? In other words, with the stuff I've gotten in my life, if I were alive in 1600,
most people is yes.
Yes, I would be dead.
You would all be dead.
Probably 1 in 6 of you would have died as a baby.
Yeah.
You would not have made it to 5 years old. Yep. And then after that, it's like, did you ever have appendicitis? Dead.
Yep.
Did you have the flu? 50-50.
Yeah.
Have you had the diarrhea since Easter's? Dead.
Yep. Yeah. Y'all go get diarrhea for fun now.
No. What?
You go to Taco Bell. Just get
don't do it to me.
That's a Nate Bargatze joke.
There'll be no Taco Bell slandering in my... I love Taco Bell.
Oh, I'm a fan.
Dude, I love Taco Bell.
I'm a fan.
I have always loved Taco Bell.
Me too. Me too.
It's making a comeback, I feel that.
Out of the fast food option, I don't eat much fast food at all, but out of the fast food options, it's one of the healthier ones. You have some options.
It can be. It depends on what you choose.
Yeah, I mean, of course, always. But like, you have some options there.
If you get a chicken soft taco,
it's
and you don't doctor it up with anything too bad,
go hard taco. It's even better for you.
Yeah, and it's just delicious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they're chalupas. Those little boxes. If I get it though, I'm eating them cinnamon twist.
I can't deal with the box. The box is too much. That's a calorie dump for me.
It's 1,000 calories is all. I'm serious.
Oh, yeah, one of them is. Yeah, one of them is. Yeah.
Because it's a chalupa, a taco, and like a little burrito.
Chalupas are delicious.
Oh, my goodness.
We just ate lunch. What's wrong with us?
We're ridiculous. We're on a calorie deficit.
We're on a calorie deficit.
And I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
You're going to win.
I'm killing you, man.
I know. I got bit by a dog.
Yeah. I only have 2 pounds left.
Whew, I have 8.
Yeah.
I ain't going to make it.
I'm going to keep going, though.
I'm not going to lose 2 pounds a week. It's too much. No. I'm at the age where if I lose muscle, it's too much to get it back.
I can tell, too. Like, my clothes are getting big.
I can tell because I look bigger, even though I'm smaller.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm starting to look a little leaner.
You look jacked.
A little meaner, a little jackter. Hang on, let me put my arm.
Yeah, let's get our arms propped up right here.
Can you see my muscles?
I was like, look at that.
I'm getting swole. Yeah. Well,
if you're just listening, people, we're just kind of like being dumb and flexing on the camera.
Well, yeah, we're always being dumb.
Yeah,
every once in a while, we'll drop a nugget, though, of wisdom.
Well, it's like you can't always do that.
No.
That's pretentious.
Yeah, yes.
You gotta like fill in the gaps with dumbness.
And actually, I know what actual strong people look like.
And it's not us.
Yeah. I'm not that guy.
That's so
They're
true.
Dudes. Oh my goodness, there's so many people.
There's one guy at the gym we go to that every time I see him, I was like, that guy could lift this building.
He's a police officer.
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Huge.
I wish I knew his name. He's a super nice guy.
He's super nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Like he probably reps my max for warm-ups.
Easily.
Oh, I watched him repping 315 in squats one day.
Yeah, I think he reps higher than my max for warm-ups on everything probably.
Yeah, he is a beast.
Yeah, he's very strong.
He's handsome. We gotta stop.
Chill out, man.
Yeah, I saw him on the side of the road the other day, breaking traffic, and I was like, "Oh, brother, thank you for your service." And he's so strong. Whoa! If he grabs you, he'll pull you right out of the car window. You better get out of the car when he asks you to.
Yeah,
or he'll just pull you out. Yes, sir.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Bible now, as we do on this podcast. We're finishing Leviticus today. I think we can finish it.
Let's do it.
So here's what happens after you get past the Day of Atonement in Leviticus. It's the halfway point. It's literally the middle of the book. You get kind of like you get a lot of the same
laws.
So Leviticus is kind of interesting in as a structure as what we call a chiastic structure. Okay, isn't that so fun?
I hate those.
I know
because every chi in Greek means and.
Yeah,
and a lot of times, unlike English, they might start a thought with and or also.
Yeah,
and Greek scholars have nothing else to do.
Nothing. They're so
and
bored.
So they pretend like
bored.
every time it says chi, that it must be referencing back to the other chi.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Lord, this chi structure means everything's tied together. And it's like somebody saying, like they're just writing it all over the place, man.
What's interesting about it is every once in a while, there's this overall structure, parallel structure that happens in writing.
It does happen sometimes.
It happens in writing. It happens in Psalms a lot of times. And the idea is like, it's like you build a thought pyramid. Literally, if you're thinking like about this in your head, you're just listening, you're not watching. It's like you're going to kind of build steps up to the main point, and then once you've said the main point, then you're going to build steps down off of it, and those steps are going to parallel something on the opposite side. And so you might, like a poem, for instance, might be something like, you might start with a line about blue, and then a line about red, and a line about green, and then you have your main point.
I thought you were
white.
going to sing that song for a second.
No, was it
be blue?
Oh no,
no.
So it might be blue, red, green, main point.
Yeah.
On after that main point, it'll be green, red, blue.
Yeah.
And that's chiasm,
right? And the reason they did that is because they didn't have Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
And they couldn't format points. They couldn't go A, B,
you
D,
don't
C.
have bold
if you were looking at it with Greek eyes, you'd be like, oh, he's making an outline.
Or Hebrew. It's in Hebrew. It's actually more of a Hebrew thing.
Yeah.
Than I think. Like I see it more in the Hebrew than I.
It depends on if you're a Greek or a Hebrew scholar. The Greek scholars love it everywhere.
Yeah. I feel like this is like just something, this is totally anecdotal.
Yeah.
I felt like when I would read through the Greek Bible, especially in seminary, because they're always talking about this stuff. And I always thought that most of the Greek ones seemed like a stretch.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
Yeah, but the Hebrew ones seemed a little bit more natural as like just the poetry of it.
They had to do it.
Yeah.
Because
Hebrew poetry is weird. It's not rhyming.
Hebrew is a much more primitive language.
Yeah.
Every single word is basically 3 consonants.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine being limited to saying stuff with only 3 consonants. So a lot of words start looking the same. They didn't put vowel points in there.
They look very similar.
It looks very
hard
similar.
to read. Yeah.
It's an ancient language. And so they use these structures to sort of... So Hebrew poetry doesn't rhyme. a lot of time they'll do, I think it's called acrostic, where
they do
starts
acrostics.
Like,
yep.
The first letter of the alphabet. Like if you were reading it in Hebrew, it would look like the first line starts with A, then B, then C, then D, then E. Psalm 119, the longest chapter in the Bible. If you'll look, it'll say like Aleph, Bait, Gimel, Dalet. Yep. And that means every single poem, every single line in that starts with the letter Aleph, and then it goes Bet, Gimel, Dalet. Yeah. So that's how they structure things, because the language had kind of built-in limitations a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the book of Leviticus is similar to this. It has this ascension to the Day of Atonement, and then this descension. It's descending off of that main point.
You go up the mountain to the Day of Atonement, stack on the back of the stack of laws, and then you roll back down it on another stack of laws.
And it's like there's the first step of the pyramid of Leviticus is like about the sacrifices.
Yeah.
The second one's about the priests. Then you have these laws. Well, what you're going to descend from that is you're going to get holiness laws. You're going to get something about priests, and you're going to get something about rituals.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's exactly what happens in Leviticus. And so this next big section is a lot of more of those holiness laws. And if you're reading through this on your own, in your own Bible reading and stuff, a lot of it is similar to what we saw in other places, especially in Exodus, where it's kind of common law. This is common sense law, fairness, general fairness, but not all of it. What?
I've lived so long that I don't think there's any common sense at all. I don't.
No, I get that. Yeah, I just mean it's like don't. One of them is like don't hate your brother or something.
Oh, don't sleep with a dog.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Don't sleep with.
Let's clarify. Don't have sex with a dog.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's like when you go in the land, don't have sex with animals.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna put you to death. Like, you think, oh, that's so stupid. Why do they have to say that? Well, it's because people were doing it.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's stupid. No. They don't have to say it, but I think it's like when you're doing your Bible reading, that's not going to be what you probably are like confused about.
I would tell you that actually from about chapter 17 on till 20, just feels like constant shade throwing at the patriarchs.
Oh yeah, it is. And
so,
we're gonna talk about that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of go through these next few chapters and hit the high points, hit the stuff that if you're reading it through it on your own, you'd think like, what is going on there? Why is that here? And we're also gonna make note of how many times it is commentary on what the patriarchs did in Genesis.
Yeah, and, including old Abe.
Yes, Abraham's involved in here, and because Genesis makes almost no moral claims about the actions of the people.
And another thing you need to remember is Leviticus is the same book as Genesis.
That's right.
That's how they saw it and still see it. The Torah, the first 5 quote books, might be better to think of it as the first 5 chapters.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I like
because,
that. It's the book of Moses.
Wrote this whole book. So there's not any moral commentary sometimes given in the narrative to things the patriarch did, like I married my half-sister Sarah. Yeah. But in Leviticus, it's like, don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, like Lot and his daughters. Like, and a lot of people when they read some of these stories, they're like, why doesn't he say anything about that?
Yeah.
Why is it okay for Jacob to marry 2 women?
Yeah.
And stuff like
sisters.
Sisters. Why does it say anything about that?
Yeah.
And the actual thing is you have not read the whole book.
Yeah.
You got to keep reading Leviticus.
That's why
it tells you.
We've definitely mentioned him before, but that's why it's so dangerous, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's so not good practice to build theological doctrine on a narrative alone, because sometimes the Bible just records what happens without moral commentary.
Yeah.
And so you'll see somebody do something crazy, and the Bible doesn't rebuke them.
Yeah.
And if he didn't write Leviticus, the Israelites might be like, half-sister's good to go.
Yeah. You get to Judges. You get to Judges, and it's like, someone's like, why is it saying anything about this stuff?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, it's here. Okay, this is where. So we've talked about the Bible being like this book of hyperlinks before.
Yes.
And you read something in another place, and you could imagine it has like the blue text with a little underline, like you see it online and stuff. It's a hyperlink. You're supposed to click that link, and it's supposed to take you somewhere.
Oh,
and this is this section that we're going to read through is a piece of source material for all of those hyperlinks. A lot of them, like if you clicked the button in Samuel, whatever, it might be bringing you here.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's so hard to realize. Man, it is so the death of expertise or the death of needing it as much. I was listening to somebody talk today, and it was like this. It was like a 60 Minutes from like 1990. It was this clip, and they were talking about something, and this guy was talking about this situation or this scholarly thing, kind of like we were talking about Gilgamesh the other day.
Yeah.
And when he was saying it, everybody was like, "Wow!" And I thought, everybody knows this.
Oh yeah.
Everybody knows this now. But back in those days, not everybody knew it because there were no hypertext, there was no social media, there was no internet, there was no. Strong's Concordance that everybody poo-poos now. And Strong's Concordance. Dude, it was revolutionary.
Yeah. What that is it's a book that has a list of essentially of every word in the Bible.
And where it occurred.
And where it happened. So if you're like wondering like where are angels? Where do the angels show up in the Bible? You'd open up Strong's Concordance and you go to A, you find angels, and it was like based on the King James, right?
Yes.
And it would show you every instance
It was based
angels.
on English, was this short form.
Yeah.
Okay? But for its day.
It's incredible.
It saved people so... Can you imagine trying to do Bible studies like we're doing right now?
Yeah.
Without that stuff?
Yeah. Now, let me tell you what I can do.
Look at all the stuff just in this Bible.
Yeah. I wish I could. I might
margins.
take a screenshot of this. I can take a. I'm not gonna. It's kind of too much work to do a screenshot, but I can like type.
That's too much work to hit control.
Actually, it's actually easy now.
Screenshot.
I can take a.
We would never have survived. You just showed why we would be lousy scholars in 1820. It's
my gosh,
it's too much work to screenshot this. That poor guy.
The life of a scholar in the ancient world, it's so I say the ancient world, 1800s, 1900s, the 90s.
When I started seminary, there were no Greek Bibles on the computer.
Yeah.
And we got this thing called Gramcord, and we were like, this is revolutionary.
Yeah. So I can take on my little software here, I can like open up a search, and I can like write a little piece of code thing or something and it will tell me, I have to ask for every single usage of this word in the entire, Greek Bible. And it gives me every single one of them.
Look,
right.
When I started seminary, this is still famous. Okay. This is they call it BDAG. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the Greek English lexicon only of the New Testament. If you're looking at it, this is how we had to find our Greek words when I started.
It's a house,
and
man.
You're not watching. Listen to this.
It's a big book.
This
folks.
is all we had.
Yeah.
Now then, this is like standard on every.
I know. I just like search it. I double click. Watch it. So I can like
double click a word.
I literally double click a word and it takes me to it in that thing.
We had to break down stuff. Y'all were probably still doing this because your professors were old, but they won't be doing this in 20 years.
Yeah.
We had to find the Greek verb, break it down to its base form, luo.
Oh,
that
everyone
means to
does
lose.
that. Yeah.
And then you put the dash and you put a. So that means the second person plural or first person plural, blah, blah, blah. And you had to parse the verb.
Yeah, parse it, yeah.
And now then it's like right click or double click and it parses, shows you where it was.
You just hover over it.
Hover it.
Yeah, like I just hover over the word and it tells me what it is.
And the only reason they're still making kids do that in seminary is because they refuse to be technological.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So all that is super
it's
nerdy.
Like I'm saying, you can't use ChatGPT to do your research.
Yeah.
It's because they won't embrace AI. It's like, hey, dude, you're like a guy saying, I know you have computers, but you better do this on a typewriter.
That's ridiculously nerdy and of no value to most people, except to tell you this, that people, your pastors who've been trained or something, man, they actually can a lot of times they have a level of expertise that's pretty incredible because of the technology given to them.
I don't want anybody to get upset. Yeah. And the only people who would are like Reformed bros.
Okay.
The average pastor who applies himself now knows more than Jonathan Edwards even thought about knowing.
Yeah. One of the great
Because not only did
heroes.
we know what Jonathan Edwards knew, we know everything that they've known since.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
He died he was the president of Yale.
Yeah.
and he had 70 books in his library.
Yep.
It's like it's like watching the 1912 gymnastic Olympics where they literally just kind of jump over the hobble horse and win, and now then they do 75,000 flips before they hit the ground.
Yeah.
It's so much.
This is why,
and the Bible has gotten better because of it.
It has.
Not the Bible has gotten better.
I know what you mean. But the translations,
have gotten better.
Yeah.
The preaching has often gotten better.
Yeah.
The understanding of God's word has gotten better.
Yeah.
We live in a golden age.
We really do. So comments that I hear in the world, on the internet, about how the Bible is out. No one really knows what the Bible says.
Oh my Lord!
Everything's changed so much in translation.
Yeah.
We can't be sure. All this kind of garbage is so annoying.
It's so hard to listen to.
It's so hard to listen to because it's ignorant in the true sense of that word. Like you have no idea what you're talking about.
I feel like if there was an atheist scholar here who studied the Bible because he found it fascinating, would agree with us.
Oh, 100%.
They would be like, "Oh my gosh,
no, they
is
know
ridiculous."
They know what it says, and they know what it means.
Now they might argue about whether or not it's inerrant and all that stuff, but they'd be like, "We know what they were reading in the first century.
Yeah,
like we don't have a doubt about it.
Yeah,
we know what they were reading.
Yeah,
that's and right. the Dead Sea Scrolls should have shut this up forever. Yeah.
So let's actually get into the text.
Sorry.
We're just going off everywhere.
We had a Firehouse sub.
We got sleepy. Now we're not sleeping no more.
Yeah.
So now we're ready to go.
Waking up.
So let's go Leviticus chapter. We'll start, I guess, in 18. Do you have anything in 17 to talk about? I thought 17 was kind of explanatory, self-explanatory.
Take a bath.
Yeah, you got to take a bath. Yeah. If you touch a dead animal.
Baptize yourself.
Yeah. So in chapter 18, you get a section on some sexual things, okay? Sexual, and it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, what I would say what's interesting is, I think like the point of it is obvious. It's all about incest, and it's don't do it, right?
Consanguinity.
Is that what that's the word? The old word.
It's like sanguine means blood. It's like with the same blood likeness. Okay. Don't do that.
Yeah, and so the point is self-explanatory. But
don't sleep with your relatives
at all. Any of them. Don't do that.
Well, after first cousin, apparently it's okay, but not aunts, not uncles, not brothers and sisters,
in-laws,
in-laws. Don't do that.
So it's not even about, like some people say, well, it's because of like the genetic problems and stuff. No, it's not even just about that.
Not always.
That might be a reason God might have. He didn't say that though. There are in-laws and non-blood relative people in this list.
Yeah.
So it's an issue of God said so, don't do it.
Yes.
Ever. Like do not do this. You have the relationships that come through marriage are just as binding as blood.
They are considered your relatives.
Yes, in every way.
In every way. Right. And it's interesting because it says, don't marry your brother's wife.
Yeah.
But then later it says, except sometimes you have to marry your brother's wife.
Yep.
And you don't have a choice.
Yeah. It's like the kinsman redeemer.
Live-right marriage. So like if your brother was married to a woman, and this is the condition, he dies and she has no children, you have to take her for your wife.
Yeah. And
if you don't, there's like things that happen.
You've done something wrong.
They take your shoe off and smack you with it or something. I'm dead serious. Yeah. It's like you take your shoe and she spits on you and says you are a dirty dog.
But if you're cheating and you marry or something, that's wrong. Don't do that.
Yeah. Right. Or if he divorces her, you can't have her.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're not to do, but the reason I think this is interesting and important to bring up this section, it's not because of like the idea of that incest is wrong. That's self-explanatory. I feel like for our culture, you don't need explanation. But it depends on which translation you're reading. You might get to this and you might have some issues. You might have some reading issues that this sounds weird.
Yeah.
What does your translation say?
Don't uncover their nakedness.
What is your translation?
It says, none of you shall approach any blood relative of his to uncover nakedness. I am the Lord.
And then it goes on over and over again and starts talking about uncovering their nakedness.
Yes.
And And that the King James does it. ESV might do that too. They might not, but like the CSB says like sexual intercourse or something.
Yeah, it's kind of a euphemism for sexual intercourse.
Yeah, it is.
Which gets weird.
Yes.
Because when it talks about Noah's son uncovering his nakedness, it's like, wait a minute.
That's right.
What
That's
did
what I
he
was
do
getting
to
at.
his dad?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. This is commentary on Genesis 9.
Yeah.
When Noah has this wild run-in with his son when they get off the boat.
Noah gets drunk and passes out, and it says that Ham uncovered his nakedness.
Yep.
What the what?
So this is you can prove it in Leviticus 18 that it is a euphemism for sexual intercourse because it'll swap some word uses and it's like saying in the meaning is that uncover their nakedness is sexual intercourse.
Yeah. We have these euphemisms.
We do. Yeah.
Horizontal hula.
Yeah, there's other one. That's funny. There's other euphemisms in the Bible. To know someone, like,
to know
is a euphemism. There's some other ones out there, and so we know that it's a euphemism for sexual intercourse. And so when you look back to Genesis 9, I guess it's Genesis 9. Isn't that when it is? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Usually, we could look it up, but we're lazy.
We're lazy, lazy. I got to look it up now.
Now you got to look it up.
All right, Genesis. I think I
think
nailed
11 is the Babel story. So 9 must be close.
Oh, it's right before 9.
8.
Dang.
Bum, bum, bum. Oh.
Wait, is it?
Chapters are made up.
No, I think I might have got it. I might have got it.
You are the winner.
Prophecies about Noah's family. Where is that thing at? I think it is 9, somewhere around there.
Anyway.
I don't know. It's okay. Oh, no. Yeah, it is 9. Woo, I did it. Yeah, chapter 9, verse 23. Yeah. So it's a euphemism about sexual intercourse, but it's not just a euphemism. It's like a working euphemism.
Yeah.
It is also about nakedness.
Yeah.
It's like
and that goes all the way back to Genesis 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's when Adam and Eve were naked and ashamed for the first time. So there's a shameful thing about uncovering nakedness.
Yeah, that's right. In the Septuagint, this is the Greek translation of this. Okay, so this is pre-Jesus.
Not much, but it is.
Yeah, but especially this is Torah. This is old
because there's different Septuagints out there.
Yeah, the Septuagint translates this as shame.
Yeah,
uncover their shame. That's what the Septuagint goes. And but here's why the nakedness is like a little bit. It's not just intercourse. It's also like something about nakedness. In verse 7. It says, "You are not to violate the intimacy that belongs to your father and mother. She is your mother. You must not have sexual intercourse with her." Oh, in verse 8 is what I meant. "You are not to have sex with your father's wife. She is your father's family." And if you go to like a different translation, you go to like
your father's nakedness.
It's your father's nakedness.
Yeah.
Like his wife is his nakedness.
Yeah.
And so it's like her sexuality is his.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the idea. So it's kind of like a working euphemism.
So already we've got shade at Noah and Reuben.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Reuben slept with Jacob's concubine.
Yep.
And that uncovered his father's nakedness.
And,
Don't do that.
And Judah.
Judah sleeps with his son's daughter.
That's
which
right.
is forbidden here
also,
too.
Yep. It's in here too.
And it says, "Don't marry your sister," which Abraham did.
Yep, that's Abraham broke this,
and it says, "Don't marry your a woman and her sister as rival wives."
Yep,
which is like up to that point, it's like okay, but when he says that, it's like, oh, he's just stabbing Jacob
literally.
there. Like
he's saying,
literally,
this is about Jacob and Rachel and Leah.
But they had to do that because they would emulate these patriarchs.
That's right.
And it's like you can't emulate this behavior. Yep. This is wrong.
Yep, they did the wrong thing. Yep. Yeah. So it's basically all these laws. If it might feel kind of common sense to you, but it's hyperlink to its commentary on what's happened.
It seems common sense, but we sure do put a lot of people in jail for this junk right now.
Oh, is that right?
Incest in the house, fathers being predators on their
predator.
yes, it's happening all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's I wouldn't have said a lot. Is it a lot kind of thing?
Huh?
That's a big thing? Oh,
child predators?
You have. I mean, like the father thing. You have experience with this, though. Not as like.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. Sorry about it.
My goodness.
I didn't mean that. I mean, you've dealt with one of these situations.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've
More than once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are scumbags.
Yeah, that's true.
They're terrible.
When you said that, like, it was like, you said in a way that made me think, it was like, this is like, normalized, like it's not common sense, more common sense, like
you're like, oh, of course this is wrong. Well, there are lots of people who are still doing this.
I know, I understand. I got you.
It's bad.
It's still happening in the same way that like the weird like bestiality stuff is still happening. It's weird.
Does. I mean, you look it up, people still get arrested for it.
Yeah, it is so bizarre, but you just might not have a question about it if you're doing your Bible reading.
But you know. We know it's wrong.
Let me tell you this, dear listener. If you are reading through this and you read across the incest passages and the bestiality passages, and you're wondering, oh, you're surprised. You're like, oh wow, that's wrong. I had no idea.
Yeah,
come talk to us.
Yeah, talk to somebody. Actually, go talk to a police officer.
Yeah. Well, come talk to us so we can make sure that happens.
Yeah. Go talk. Well, some incest, I guess, wouldn't be illegal if they were in our culture, if they were consenting adults. But don't do that. What is wrong with you people?
Oh, I can't deal with this.
It's so bad. But he has to say this because it happens.
It's we live in Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah. Cousin marriage is not against the law.
Hey, verse 19 is an interesting one. You are not to approach a woman during her menstrual impurity to have sexual intercourse with her.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned that last time.
No, we didn't. We just talked about it.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's unclean.
So it's unclean.
It's unclean.
Right. It makes you.
It says you'll be cut off.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. You're not to have. It says you just do not to approach. It didn't say anything about being cut
no.
off.
It says you'll be cut off. It's repeated. It says in there you'll be cut off because there's a question as to whether cut off means outcast or dead.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes cut off might not mean you kill them. Because, dear listener.
It's not repeated here.
Dear listener, those who violated these incest stuff and things, they just died. And sometimes, and it wasn't always stoning, some of them you burned with fire.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a cockroach infestation. It was like, if they do this one, burn them with fire.
The wages of sin is death.
Yeah.
And so, that's an interesting one. So here, there's this thing about, this doesn't directly necessarily apply to this law, but there is like some of the ones that we're going to read. There's a conversation, an ongoing conversation that's been happening for centuries about how to interpret the law post Jesus, post the law of Christ, right? And that for some things are gone, abrogated, right? Mm-hmm. That we don't follow them, like the purity laws, food purity laws we talked about last week. They're not in effect anymore. Some things, though, we look at them, we're like, no, we're still doing that. Yeah. Like incest laws.
Still not sleeping with your sister.
Yeah, still not doing that.
And the most important law in the Bible is in Leviticus 19.
Yeah, which one is that?
Love your neighbor.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
19:18 is
that's right.
Don't take vengeance nor bear any grudge against the sons of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord.
Yeah, that's right. So like, how do you play with that balance? Like, what's the operation there?
You may be controversial.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the divisions people make between temple laws, unclean laws, and like moral law is a bit shady.
Well, explain that, because folks might not, there's this division that people talk about.
So, there's a law regarding how you approach the temple and how you can give sacrifice, even cleanliness and uncleanliness basically revolves around temple worship. You can't do certain things if you're unclean.
Yeah.
And you see that more clearly when it's applied to priests. But like if you were unclean for some reason, a lizard fell in on you dead, you couldn't take your sacrifice on the Passover if it happened that day. Yeah. Because you can't go in there.
Yeah.
Other things are like, don't
do incest.
Don't do incest. Don't breed two separate species of cattle together is in here. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
So what scholars did is like, well, some of these laws don't apply. We can breed.
We know that.
Yeah.
The ritual laws don't apply. We don't have a temple. We don't go to a temple.
Yeah, but
right?
it gets very unclear because the Bible doesn't make these designations. We do, and so sometimes they appear right beside each other. And it'll be like, don't wear a garment of two different kinds of material. Don't do.
Yeah, we have.
In other words, don't do a cotton polyester thing. You shouldn't do that. And so you're like, well, we can do that now. And then right after it, without a segue, it might be like, and don't sleep with animals.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say, dear reader, these are just temple rules, or these are just till Jesus comes here.
Yeah.
And so it starts kind of being arbitrary which ones we decide.
I know it. That's why I want us to figure out, help people read this,
Yeah.
How do you make it not arbitrary? Because some of them, you're mixing fabrics.
Some of the...
you're probably wearing a cotton blend shirt right now.
I am probably. I'm probably doing it. I
Polyester,
shaved my beard off.
And you shaved your beard off. Why can you do that?
Because of Jesus.
But why is it wrong to do
So one thing you
can
do is that the Bible scholars do, or Christian scholars, is they go through and they look in the New Testament, and they're like, well, which ones are enforced in the New Testament? Which ones pop up again?
Yeah.
And a lot of these do, actually.
Yeah.
And we have the Jerusalem Council, and they're like, well, what do we do with the law of Moses?
It's in Acts.
It's in Acts. It's the very first church controversy. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? And they're like, well, just tell them to abstain from idols and don't eat stuff with blood, and if they'll just stay away from idols and blood, they'll be doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So incest is on the table, clearly.
Well, you make a really good point.
Yeah.
That it's not like the New Testament has nothing to say about sexual immorality.
Well, actually, Paul addresses what would be considered in Old Testament an incestuous relationship.
He does in 1 Corinthians 5.
He says, look, this dude has married his father's wife, and y'all aren't even ashamed of it.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean necessarily it was his mom.
Yeah.
It means that maybe his stepmother.
Yeah. So sometimes the label in Leviticus for this is a moral law. This is and we're just going to make this one is going to be a moral law. This other one is going to be a ritual law or something. That might be arbitrary, but what you shouldn't do is think that everything is arbitrary. It's not all arbitrary, because how do you know the definition for sexual immorality in the New Testament, right? Because that's all it'll say sometimes. It'll just say, almost every time, it's in a list of sins. It's just sexual immorality.
And even sexual immorality in Greek is hard to nail down.
So how do you know what
the
that
word
means?
I
know what you mean.
Yeah, like they say, if anybody divorces his wife, except for, and in Greek it says porneia, commits adultery. And then we have 96,000 pages of Christian debate over what the word porneia means.
Yeah.
We clearly get our word pornography from that. But so what does it mean to be guilty of porneia?
Yeah. Well, there's
a couple of things you can do. Okay, which ones are repeated through the New Testament? And this is a harder one. You have the appeal to conscience, because that's what Paul says, appeal to conscience. But also, there's a very real sense in what the church binds on earth is bound in heaven. And so the church says this might be bad, and so it might be bad. And I'm not going Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
But there is this idea that Paul says, judge among yourselves. Are you not smart enough to figure this stuff out?
Yeah.
And so we believe that we have and it's broken. This is why you need people in the church, but the consensus, the consensus of history, and just you shouldn't be sleeping with your sister, and there's 57 reasons. So, for example, let's say this. Is it immoral for an unmarried pastor who's 24 to marry an 18-year-old out of his youth group?
Is it
immoral?
Oh, I thought you said illegal.
Is it immoral? It might be illegal, but is it immoral? Or if you are a boss at work and someone works for you, is it immoral to make advances on them?
Yeah.
And
the general consensus would be yes.
Yes, because there's a power.
But do you have like a letter of the law on that? No.
Yeah, no. And so here's the thing. Even in the Old Testament, this is what we were talking about. The point of the law was not always just to make black and white lines in the sand. Mm-hmm. It was to foster wisdom.
That's right.
Because it says, you shall not marry your brother's wife. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, okay. And then later it says, but if she dies... if he dies and they don't have kids, you got to marry her. Mm-hmm. And you raise up a kid, and everyone says that's your brother's son.
Yeah.
Because there's a thing that happens in Genesis, right? Before Judah goes in with Tamar. Tamar is married to the oldest brother, and I forgot his name. And he was a wicked man, the Bible says, and he killed him.
Yeah.
And then she goes by Levitical marriage, before we even had Leviticus, to the next brother, Onan. And Onan says, I'm not going to give her a baby.
Yeah.
Because if I do, that baby will inherit my brother's stuff. Mm-hmm. But if I don't have a baby with her, I'll get his stuff.
Yeah.
And so he spills his seed on the ground, and then they get this whole nother talk, which we've done before. And so God kills him.
Yep.
And then Judah's like, well, God doesn't kill two of my sons because of this woman. I'm not going to give him to my third son.
Yeah.
Right? So the whole point of the law is to help foster wisdom in these situations where we don't know what to do exactly. Yeah. And there's a great example here in Leviticus. Mm-hmm. Nobody but the priests are allowed to eat the food in the temple.
That's right. Yeah.
Nobody. And we can talk about that in a minute, because if you have a deformity, you can't serve as a priest, but you can't eat the food. Yeah. And this is basically the sustenance the Levites had. Mm-hmm. Like they ate this food given to the temple. There's an example, though, in the 1 Samuel. David and his men go to the temple.
Oh, yeah.
And they're starving. Mm-hmm. He's running for his life from Saul. Yep. And the priest gives them the showbread, which anybody but the priests are forbidden to eat.
Yep.
It says it right here. Nobody's supposed to eat that. The high priest, gives it to David. Was it sin? There's no law.
Yeah.
Was it sin?
There's commentary later on.
Who gives that commentary?
Jesus.
And does he say it was sin?
He says it wasn't.
Why?
Because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. One of the things even rabbis will say, the purpose of the law, and there's a reason they make this interpretation, is through wisdom, not law. The purpose of the law is not to destroy life, but to uphold it.
Yeah.
And so these men were starving. Yeah. So they should eat the showbread. Mm. The emphasis is on life over death.
Yeah.
And so even you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath, but let's say you're a medic and you're walking down the road and somebody's had a terrible mule crash and they've fallen off their mules and this dude's bone sticking out of his arm. You're like, sorry, bud, Sabbath day, I'm off work. No, you get in there and you save that guy's life. And Jesus was constantly upset because people couldn't get it.
Yeah.
So that was a long roundabout situation to say the children of God ought to have enough sense to know what's wrong and right.
That's
because
right.
We're guided by the Holy Spirit. We have the law.
Yeah.
And we have to look at these things and say, well, temple law, we don't have to worry about that.
That's right.
And we don't have to worry about foods because Jesus said don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. If Jesus had not said all foods are clean for you, we would still be going, don't eat the bacon, bro.
Yeah, that's right. So you get to, when you're reading through this stuff, you may be wondering, what's the point? Like, if I don't have to follow this stuff anymore, what's the point? Well, you've missed the point. That's like you're saying, because this is building wisdom.
Yeah.
There is a wisdom here. Like, you read through the stuff about sexuality or something, it is building a wisdom about proper sexuality.
And I'm going to say something.
It's not useless.
I'm going to say something even more crazier. Christians are not under law.
Yeah.
We're not under law.
Yeah.
That's just straight from the Bible.
That's right.
I know that I should not lie. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't lie. It's in the top 10, right?
Yep.
Top 10, don't bear false witness. Top 10, 10 commandments, making a joke. Yeah. I shouldn't lie. I know that. You know that. Everybody knows that. Is it the law that prevents me from lying?
That prevents you from lying?
Yeah.
No.
I don't. Whenever I choose to lie, I don't think, or I'm about to lie, I don't think, oh, well, there's a commandment that says don't lie. I guess I won't do that.
Yeah,
I know good and well it's wrong.
No.
Because of the nature that's in us. So all that complicated stuff to say you should listen to the church, You should listen to the Scripture. Anything that you define in the Scripture, you need to know why you're not doing that anymore, and or you're not beholden to that particular law.
Yeah.
But because even in the Jerusalem Council, where it says you shouldn't eat food that has its blood in it, can you do that still?
I don't think you're supposed to.
Well, it says not to in the Jerusalem Council, but is that a narrative or is that forever?
I mean, that
because they eat blood soup in places. They do it in Scotland, all over the place. Yeah, blood pudding.
They literally told you not to do it.
They said don't do it, but why? And it was to keep from offending the Jews in the church.
Yeah.
It was like, at least tell them not to do this.
Yeah.
Because they have another controversy about circumcision. Like, should we keep that law? And it's like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Think about this as far as wisdom in law. Should you be circumcised? That's a really weird question.
Should I?
Should you?
I don't.
I think the answer is maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And here's the.
I always say it's like, what is your dad?
Yeah. No. Well, here's the reason. We're talking about religiously, not like it'll keep it cleaner or whatever stupid thing we invented to.
That's not true.
Trim it off. It's not even true. So Paul says in Galatians, if you submit to circumcision. I wish you'd go ahead and cut your whole thing off.
Yeah.
He says that, not me. Paul says it.
Yeah.
I wish they would emasculate themselves.
Yeah.
And if you submit to circumcision, you have fallen away from Jesus. You've fallen from grace. You're no good, Nick, anymore.
Because they're adults.
Because they're adults, right?
Who are doing
but Paul meets a young man named Timothy. Timothy's mother's Jewish, and the Jewish line is reckoned through Jews. And he says, hey, Tim, have you been circumcised? And Timothy says, no. He says, all right, let me circumcise you. And he does it. Paul had Timothy circumcised as an adult, and he's the same guy that wrote Galatians. Yeah. Why did he circumcise Timothy?
Maybe.
There's two reasons. I think. He's Jewish.
Yeah.
Paul knew it wasn't for salvation, but it was for their people. Second, Paul was trying to win Jews to Jesus.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you're going to be Jewish, bro, you got to you got to clip the end off. You got to take off. They got to take the turtleneck off the sweater. And
crew necks only, man. V-necks and crew necks only.
Yeah. So that's why he did it. But if somebody said, you circumcised Timothy so he could be saved, Paul would be like, I will shoot you with my 38.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a 38. But he's like, no, I didn't do that. I did it because his mother's Jewish and he's going to be Jewish.
Yeah.
And we're ministering to Jewish people. So when I'm with the Jews, I live like a Jew.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of the law, the point of the law, the purpose of the law is to build wisdom in the hearts of the people who read it.
Yep.
So that when you can make judgment calls, you have some sense.
That's right. So you get something like verse 19, you're not to approach a woman during her menstrual impurity to have sexual intercourse with her. Okay. Give her a break, pal.
Yeah, give her a break. Yeah,
she's on her period, man.
Yeah, she don't want to right now.
Yeah,
almost
she's
certainly.
On her period, man.
She's not feeling great.
Yeah,
leave her alone,
or something.
Man.
Just leave her alone. It'll be okay.
It'll be good for you too.
Yeah, have some self-control. You get to like verse 22. You're not to sleep with a man as with a woman. Right, this is one that gets brought up. It is detestable. This is homosexuality.
Yeah,
and it gets brought up a lot because this is one of the proof texts for why homosexuality is a sin.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the first things that's always said about is like, well, this is in Leviticus. The law is gone.
Yeah. Why don't you? But this pops up.
But it's not like it's not in the New Testament also.
I know.
Like Romans 1 is very clear. Like, don't do this. Very clear. And so it's a fine proof text, right? Some things there is continuity because this is about wisdom. Like, and wisdom don't change in a sense. The principle of wisdom isn't changing. What is right and wrong isn't changing, right? The expression sometimes changes, like when you should be circumcised and whatnot. Or not.
Yeah, I'll give you a good example of this. So, like, some of the law of the Old Testament was because Israel was disobedient children.
Yeah.
And so the law stacked up. And it's a lot like curfew. Yeah. So you give an 18-year-old, he's like, hey, man, you got to be back by 11, bro. Or 18's a little old. Let's say 16, 17, they're driving. You're like, hey, be back home at 11, right? Yeah. Nothing good's going on after 11, son. Yeah. Be home, daughter. Be home by 11.
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old. Ain't nobody got to tell me to be home at 11. Brother, I'm in the bed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, if you are 50 years old and you're still out at the honky tonk at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're in sin and somebody needs to set a curfew on your butt.
Yeah.
But not necessarily, okay? There's exceptions even there. Maybe you're at a wedding and it's a good time, you know. But like if you're neglecting your family and you're a married man and you're out at the bar at midnight,
what the world?
Get somebody from your church to come in there and drag you out there by your beard like Nehemiah of old, slap you in the face, say, go home to your wife, and if I catch you out here again at 12, I'm going to beat you up in the street.
Yeah.
That seems a little harsh. But look, if I found out that one of the people in our church was like being a stupid head and was out drinking on the weekdays at 12 and his wife come in and was crying, and this dude went in the bar and found him and dragged him out by his beard and said exactly what I said, I wouldn't even be mad.
No,
I'd be like, I am so grateful to you.
Give you a handshake.
I'm gonna go your bail. I'm gonna bail you out when you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because this is a beautiful accountability, such the world deserves and needs.
Let's get some more in here.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 19, verse 14. This is just an interesting one, I think. Do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block in front of the blind.
Yeah.
But you are to fear your God. I am the Lord. Man, that's what's curse the deaf because they can't hear it. Mm-hmm. Stumbling block in front of the blind because obviously they can't see it. This is like one of those things. It's probably people weren't doing this. Probably. It wasn't like, oh, this was everyone's favorite pastime.
Was yelling at
and we're like, we've decided to take this away. This is part of that wisdom building thing.
And also it's basically saying, don't mistreat the handicap.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. Like that's really cool that God puts that in here. It's probably not a pastime people were doing.
And Paul does this with the law.
Yeah.
And the rabbis did this before Jesus. Mm-hmm. Paul references something. He's like, you should pay your pastor.
Oh yeah, he does.
What does he quote to say you should pay your pastor?
He says, don't muzzle an ox
while it treadeth the grain.
Yeah,
that's the King James.
Yeah, that's
okay. So what does that mean? So we're turning grain to flour.
Yeah,
and so this ox is tied to a pole, and it basically goes around and around, and it grinds off the corn, right?
Yeah.
And he said, and people put a muzzle on the ox so he wouldn't stick his face in there and eat some corn while he's grinding it off. Like, I don't want to get my corn. He's like, no, don't do that. He's earned his corn.
Yeah.
Let him eat it.
Yeah.
And so Paul says, you should pay your pastor because the Bible says don't muzzle the ox while he treads the grain.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
That has nothing to do with pastors.
But he said, do you think God wrote that just for the sake of oxen?
That's
what he says.
That's
He's
right.
like, it's not just for oxes.
It's not.
It's saying if someone works, they're worthy of their wage.
That's right. And so this is building wisdom principle.
Yes.
Like it's building character.
Yeah.
And
that's why not everybody can do this job.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
Some people, it takes a kind of a brain. Like, I can imagine Paul saying you should pay your pastors because we don't muzzle oxen when they tread grain. People are like, well, that's the stupidest proof text I've ever heard. And I think they got to make a lousy pastor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to read the Bible as it's given to you and stuff. You can't read it on your own terms.
Yeah. So when
you want
to go back to this, when it says don't curse deaf people and don't put stumbling blocks in front of blind people, if you're a legalist and stupid, you think, oh, that means I just can't curse deaf people and trip blind people.
Yeah.
But he's actually saying, don't mistreat people.
Don't mistreat people. Like don't make someone's life who's already has difficulty harder for no.
Don't make their life harder.
Like don't do that.
What are you doing?
Like he
does it all the time for the aliens among us, which we
does.
Talk about.
Yeah.
He's like, look, if you got a visitor who's in your place, a foreigner, treat him like a son of Israel.
Yeah.
Don't make his life harder.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh.
Here's a this is one of the weird ones. This is one that's like, why is this on here? I don't understand this. Do not crossbreed two different kinds of your livestock. Sow your fields with two kinds of seed, or put on a garment made of two kinds of material.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what's this mixing thing? Like, why is that there? And what's the wisdom to be learned there?
I'm trying to say this well. So Jesus talks about the fact that you don't put new wine in old wineskins, right? He's like, why wouldn't you do that? Well, the wine swells up and it'll explode the wineskin because it's already stretched. It can't go any further. So if you fill it up, it's going to blow up. With this, it's like, back in the old days, they didn't really have cotton polyester stuff. It could be if you sew two things together, it's just going to fall apart. And not every two species of stuff is compatible to give you favorable things. Yeah. Right? So it's like some plants take nitrogen out of the ground. Yeah. Some plants put nitrogen in the ground. Yeah. And so, like, maybe it's just a common sense thing, or this could be one of those places where it's like, I don't know, God just said don't do that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes with the livestock, it's like there's a cruelty thing in there.
Yeah.
Like, it don't work.
Yeah. This thing is too big for this other thing.
Yeah. It doesn't work.
It's going to be messed up.
They're going to be sterile.
Yeah, going to be sterile.
So it's
Although
not like
you could make mules.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, you can make a mule, but those are pretty limited. Like your options for making that work are limited.
Yeah, you have to dig a hole and put one of them in it because they're too short. Yeah, it's crazy. I know the kings used to ride mules in the battle. That always blows my mind. Really? Yeah, when Absalom's hair got caught in the thing, he was on a mule. Yeah. But what's funny is cavalry in the Old Testament and in the ancient days, when you think of cavalry, you think of knights like bearing down with lances and like knocking things over. That's not what they did in that day. Literally, they would ride their mules to where they wanted to go and get off and go fight because they hadn't invented the stirrup yet.
Oh, yeah.
Or they would ride behind them in a chariot. But like the point of the cavalry then was to be able to flank more quickly, get off your horse and fight.
Oh, okay. That makes it. They're very expensive. I wouldn't want them to kill them.
Super expensive.
Yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
All right. So here's some more of them. Yeah, the blood one. Okay, not to eat anything with blood in it. You're not to practice divination or witchcraft. You're not to cut off the hair at the sides of your head. I saw this on the on Reels the other day, or YouTube. It was one of the apps, and it was this guy talking about how getting a fade haircut was sinful.
I'm getting one tomorrow.
Yeah, because you shave off the sides of your hair.
Yeah,
and it's based on this passage.
But is he being serious?
I think he was, but it was like one of those things where it's like a stitch and like someone was going to make fun of it afterwards.
Yeah.
The guy who said that initially was being serious though. Yeah. And do not to make gashes on your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourself. What's the deal with that?
It's talking about how to mourn. So wisdom wise, it's talking about how to mourn. Paul touches on this barely. He talks about the resurrection. He says, we do not mourn as those who have no hope.
Yeah.
And so one of the, and also, by the way, this is huge. We should have said this already. This entire section is headlined, if you will, subsection of, when you go into the land, don't adopt their practices.
Yeah, that's right.
And so this is some of those practices.
Yeah.
And we see that from time to time, like the pagans were cutting themselves and doing stuff. So what he's saying is, if I could put the wisdom spin on this, is don't mourn like you've got no hope.
Yeah.
They're dead, you're not.
Yeah.
And you can go be with them again.
You're not a pagan.
You're not a pagan.
Yeah.
You don't have to pray them into heaven. Yeah. You don't have to cut yourself on their behalf. You don't have to flagellate yourself, to help them make penance.
The gaseous thing was about? Are they cutting themselves?
It's too much beans
for Baal.
Gaseous.
Yeah, the gaseous.
Yeah, for Baal.
Yeah, that the story of Baal. Is that he is like a dying and rising. God thing, and they're trying to make him wake up.
Yeah.
By like cutting themselves.
And Elijah has the best roast.
And do something for him.
Elijah's the number one trash talker in the whole Bible.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Isaiah did a pretty good job, but
Isaiah,
Elijah did it to their face, man.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
it's like maybe he's going to use the bathroom.
Yeah,
maybe is that where your God is?
Is he busy?
He must be busy. He must be asleep. If you'll holler louder, maybe he'll wake up.
Yeah,
it's just talking
so
about.
So you can get a tattoo, folks. You can do it. It's okay.
It's not talking about tattoos in general.
Yeah,
it's talking about a kind of mourning that is detrimental to you.
Yeah,
to your health and to your life.
Yeah,
you got 30 days in the Bible.
Yeah.
Which is more than we do now.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about this. We talked about this last week.
It was like, hey, mourn for 30 days and then put your mourning up.
Yeah.
And go live your life because they're dead, you're not.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean we don't love them. I'm not trying to be harsh. And they're not saying you won't be sad after that. But at some point, you have to move ahead.
Yeah.
Start moving ahead.
Then we get a bunch of laws, kind of a lot of restated laws, and with their penalty. And you know what the penalty is for all of them? Death. Right? Yeah. It's just death. Chapter 20, everything, you die for everything.
Yeah, okay? If you're a harlot after Molech,
you're dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
Undercook, overcook, dead.
Curse your father and mother, dead. Okay. Yeah.
It's funny. Man, look, even the New Testament takes that seriously.
Yeah.
Like, defaming your mother and father, disrespecting them is terrible. Paul puts a list. I gotta think about it. But it's like murderers, kidnappers. And he says homosexuals, people who are disobedient to parents.
And like all the youth gasp.
Yeah. Like what? Man, I'm in the top. Serial killers, disobedient to parents. Yeah. It's like in the same list, in the man. Same, they did not put up with that in Israel.
It's a big deal. Yeah. Yeah, and you're a medium or a spiritist, a witch or something, dead, right?
Dead.
And there's this kind of interesting thing about the priest. You mentioned this real quickly. You said if you were a Levite and you had a disfiguration or something, physical defect,
it actually tells you. Like if you're born and you don't have all your fingers, or you're born with a birth defect, or your testicles got crushed in an accident, it literally says that.
Yeah, a dwarf. Eye defect, festering rash, scabs,
eczema.
Yeah, you can't be a priest.
You can't serve in the temple. You still get your allotment, but you can't serve.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people read this and they'll be like, what kind of guy against the handicapped folk?
Well, he just showed you that he's got a big heart for the handicapped.
Yeah, so why does he say this? And here's why.
Yeah.
What follows this almost verbatim is when you bring your sacrifice to me and you bring a lamb or a sheep, a goat, or a bull, it will not be lame. It cannot have birth defects. And so the parallel here is when you come in front of me, your best stuff better be here.
Yeah.
Whoever serves, let it be the best.
Yeah.
Whoever, it's like God's making the NBA team of making sacrifices here. And he's like, look, this is what I need.
And like have some perspective too. It's like you have these, people that are handicapped and stuff here that they have a hard life.
They can't do the job.
They can't do the job.
Yeah.
They can have the benefit, the food and stuff.
They're still getting paid.
And God is telling them you don't have to do the work.
You don't have to do the work.
Man, that's a nice thing.
Yeah, it's a nice thing. It's like
being a priest, by all accounts so far, is a pretty dangerous job.
Dangerous and horrible.
Horrible.
Yes.
It's hard work, right?
Yes.
I think it's like honorable work. I think it's honorable work here, but it's a difficult job, and God is giving them.
And also, don't get the idea that there's like this one guy who's up there butchering every single day. How it was supposed to work is this is an entire tribe of people.
They take turns.
They took turns. They're supposed to go by lots.
In the first century, they're doing it. They're actually doing that right. Yeah.
Yes, because John, the immerser's dad.
Yeah, exactly right.
By the way, just as a segue, people don't realize that John the Baptist was a descendant of Aaron the high priest.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's a picture when Jesus is baptized by John. John is a rightful high priest after the order of Aaron. We know this because his dad served in the holy place, and that's where he got the vision from the angel. When the angel comes and says, your wife Elizabeth's going to be pregnant, he's like, she's too old. And he's like, shut your mouth for the next 9 months. Who you think you're talking to? I stand in the presence of God every day. Come here in the temple to give you a prophecy. You going to tell me it ain't going to happen? You're not going to say a word till this baby's born. And he comes out of there mute, right? He got chewed out a little bit. But anyway, he was a priest.
Yeah. So it's, these are the laws, okay? I think we could probably stop right there. There's some stuff about priests and there's some stuff about holy days, but a lot of it is it's like restated. We've seen it already. We've talked about it already. This is Sabbath years and Jubilee. It's been said before. This is just kind of like restated as a reminder, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we can kind of call it. That's the book of Leviticus. Okay, and I guess we're going to start with Numbers next time.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that stuff?
Do we have time to talk about Jubilee? That's pretty important in Sabbath.
This is the longest podcast we've ever done.
Okay, we're
done.
We're
at right now.
Maybe we'll touch on it briefly.
Yeah.
Because every 7 years.
It will come back up in Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
So
the 50th years. Jubilee, Jubilee.
We'll come back to it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the Big Deal Podcast. We will see you next week.